Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascended Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about Pluto and Aquarius. I know people are tired of hearing about Pluto and Aquarius, but this is from an evolutionary astrology perspective, and I think it's important to talk about after doing the Venus and Cancer video with having Venus and Taurus and it being all about going back to our roots. This is going to touch on a lot of this stuff. Also, just to be aware that I did start to do some other content with this language that I'll be using in here. So some of this stuff might sound repetitive, but nonetheless, I think it's worth taking some time to listen to it. If you can, it'll give you some more perspectives on how this Pluto and Aquarius energy can be playing out in our lives and the importance of understanding it as in-depthly as possible as we go through these transits and this 20-year Pluto and Aquarius transits. So please like, share, and subscribe, family. I do appreciate you in advance. Hit that notifications bell so that you can be notified every time we go live, family. I do appreciate you in advance. Also, if you want a reading, a weekly reading, all my services are in these little links up here or in the description box below. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let's jump into it. So Pluto and Aquarius, from an evolutionary perspective, is about asking, why did we choose to incarnate here on this earth? That's the question that we're really going to be focusing on throughout this entire Pluto and Aquarius transit. And we chose to incarnate because we wanted to know ourselves. Sometimes while we're down here on Earth, I think we forget that we're a soul. And Pluto is going to help us remember to move back to our soul. And so Pluto also helps us understand that we are all interconnected and there is no separation between us, which is what the elite spent the last 100 years doing, is switching that storyline around. And so everything is, I like to call America opposite day, because they just took everything that was what that once was and turned it around to be something completely different. And that's the battle that we are fighting here down on Earth. And so essentially, we have to always remember that it's going to be about getting back to ourselves and who we are and operating from that space. I think it's really hard for us to understand what that means and what that looks like, because 99.9% of the time, because everything's been switched around, a lot of that takes sacrifice to do. It means that you might not get the coolest, newest car. Even if you do, it's going to take a long time before you get there because you have to work harder and, things of that nature that kind of confuse us, blind us on this journey. And so that's what we're undoing with Pluto and Aquarius. Now, to understand that cycle, that journey rather, we do have to look at the Pluto cycles. Now, I'm not going to be going through all the Pluto's and cycles. However, I do have a post on my IG page where I try to post more things about these topics that I come on here and talk about in smaller, shorter little videos or whatever. So feel free to join me on my IG page and join in the fun and festivities. But I'm going to talk about a few of these cycles that can kind of break down enough to give you an idea of where we are now. And so we have to start with the Pluto and Aries cycle, which sets the tone for what we are experiencing now. That was back in 1815 to 1852. Now we have to understand that prior to Pluto and Aries, we were all farmers and we were neighbors, and we lived off the land, and we were more like engineers than industrialized, right? And so we lost our way from learning how to do things for ourselves, build for ourselves, create for ourselves, think for ourselves, and really how to work with one another or work with thy neighbor, right? And Taurus North Node is really trying to get us to understand that. Obviously, it's going to be in a more modernized way, but nonetheless, as we see banks falling and a lot of layoffs and things like that, I think what we're seeing is that destruction that Pluto can bring as the reminder that we've gone too far away from home now, right? And so back in 1815 and 1852, there was a push for individualization. Most of our ancestors were moving from farms to cities, and a lot of industrialization was going on at that time. We had a lot of factories. We had people we could buy things from, and we stopped making our own food. We even seen Europe, nations conquering Africa. That's a deeper topic, but I think you guys understand. This is the beginning of the modern world we live in today. The monarchy lost power and the parliament took the lead. Now, I did do uh, some posts on mundane astrology. So you can see where that is. If you go to that post on my IG page, it's important to check and look into those meanings, the monarchy and the parliament. It's very important. You can see a lot of that being played out now in astrology. And I also did another short video like this one talking about this further. I think I called it the sins of slavery. But this is how we started to lose our interconnectedness to each other. When we were on the farm, again, we depended on our neighbors. And even so, I think that, we were meant to go through that experience. Now it's time to bring us back home to who we are. Now we have to look at the Pluto and Sagittarius cycle. There were this is where we decided what path we were going to take and the mountain we had to climb to get there. This cycle was between 1995 to 2008. Think about what path you took. Did you follow your instincts? Did you follow the collective? Did you make changes? Did you change jobs? Did you change marriages? Did you change homes? What choices did you make? Because Aquarius is going to be all about the choices that you made. The choices are going to determine what you're going to experience with the Pluto and Aquarius transit. This is where we get a reward. At the beginning of the transit, we're going to get results of the mountain we climbed and be shown both our shadow and our light side or self. And we're going to have to hold on to the light through this journey. It's not going to be easy. We have a lot of destruction to do, which can be scary. Um, um, but we're going to have to hold on to who we are in our own unique way. That's what Aquarius is really bringing us to the core of. We're scientists, we're talented, we're unique, eccentric individuals. How can we do that and capitalize on it like the way we did when we had the why can't I think of the name now? Back when we had our own businesses and things of that nature. I don't know why I can't think of that. It's driving me crazy. But that's essentially what Pluto and Aquarius equates to, right? This cycle will be from 2024 to 2043, depending on who you ask. It could be 2023 to 2044, but whatever you choose is what you choose. We'll have more technology, more AI, and all these kind of tools, new, interesting, exciting tools. How will we use these tools? Will we get lost in these tools? Will we allow the tools to take over our lives? Will we be able to set limits in order to be in the higher expression? We must get grounded in who we are in order to even begin to understand what that is going to look like, which is asking another question. Why are Black people still struggling? And conversational wise, intellectual wise, I think we've gotten enough history and we understand the blockages and the fact that it's the system, right? Which is very Aquarius. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. Saturn is ruled by Aquarius with Saturn is a bunch of groups that are in power, secret groups, powerful groups, um, um, groups that are generationally passed down through family matters or what have you. Um, I think these are the people who built the economy that we are currently seeing crumble. The economic system, the educational system, the media, the justice system. And none of these systems are designed to solve problems in the Black community. It's not designed to solve problems for anybody but people in power. Let's just keep it all the way 100. But Pluto and Aquarius wants the core first thing about Pluto and Aquarius transit is to learn who you are unapologetically. Once you get that, you're automatically going to draw in your purpose, what you're good at, calling your soul tribe and build off of that, right? Um, and in order to do that, you're going to have to find like-minded people to build social groups, or I don't even know if I want to call them social groups, but groups in such a way where we're working together to build on one same idea to help us build in the betterment of the uprise in our people, because working within these economical systems, they're not going to get us anywhere unless we have a plan to do that. We're very methodical, strategic. It's just not in our favor. Um, so yeah, and I did another live. That video is called The Illusion of Power, which is also predicated on Pluto, but it's very important. I think you'd find a lot of helpful information in that video if you go back and listen to what else Pluto is breaking down, especially seeing as we just had the South Node and Scorpio, which is the ruler of Pluto, along with Mars being the ancient ruler of Scorpio. And now we're moving into an Aries North Node of that's ruled by Mars. This theme is not going anywhere. It's going to get stronger. So, how are you strategically going to dig a hole, Harriet Tubman, just saying, out of the system? Because you can't work within the system, right? That's what it's going to boil down to. What's your plan? What's your strategy? Um, and that's where we'll start to see the rewards. That's where we'll start to see that AI, yeah, it can be used in a positive way, but humanistically, we are the AI, and we have to recognize that about ourselves and become builders again and engineers again and have intellectual prowess and solutions, not complaining and crying out of fear or begging for a job or help or anything. We need to get down to some strategic action and planning to dig ourselves out of the hole. And I think Aries is probably the best energy to have to be able to get people to see that in that way. Um, so these twos will we allow these twos to take over our lives? Will we be able to set limits in order to be in this higher expression? Again, we must get grounded in who we are. And this is where we come back to our relationship with nature, also learning that all technology is in ourselves. Another thing you want to keep in mind, which is really why I wanted to do this video, because I think we're going to see remnants of this idea or questions, if you will, coming up through following the planets that are ruled by Aquarius, which is Saturn and Uranus. Now, we've had Uranus and Taurus since 2018. That's getting ready to kind of wrap up in 2026, I believe. It'll move into Gemini, and that's next year, right? We're in 2023, 24. It'll dip into it in 2025, but officially be there in 2026. So we got about a year and some change left before that for that Taurus energy to play out here and really get grounded in grassroots projects and social groups and things of that nature, which I think is going to be really, really amazing to see the outcomes of, and to have the support from Uranus and Gemini is going to be really amazing. And then you also have to look at, again, Saturn. Saturn is the um, ancient ruler of Aquarius. Most people don't talk about that. Um, and right now, Saturn has been in Pisces. And this is where I think we have the most work to do, because on a lower expression, Saturn in Pisces can be about victimize, the bottom of the barrel, the complaining, the woe is me, the not taking accountability for the reasons why you're in the situations that you're in, the lack mindedness, um, lack of direction, addictions, health issues, um, prisons, um, mental prisons, um, and the upswing to that is knowing, trusting the process, knowing that we are the original elites, and calling in our soul tribe. Um, and I don't mean soul tribe like other people here in this human incarnation. I mean other dimensions, and our muses and spirit guides on the other side, right? A whole multitude that brings in more power and um understanding on what path to take. So whenever I think about Saturn being in Pisces, don't laugh at me, guys. I always think about um um The Last Airbender. In that movie, they were specifically talking about the first element that you need to conquer or have is water, I think, after air, or I think water is the first. Don't quote me on the exact position of such, but in that movie, he's learning how to conquer water. And he had to go to his guides, which was like a dragon. I mean, this couldn't be more spiritual in nature. I mean, we're talking about K2 and Rahu here, which is the North Node and the South Node. Anytime we have that transit, I don't care what sign it's in, it's always going to be about this idea of devouring ourselves if we don't learn who we are, if we don't go to source to tap in and connect again, like wants us to go back to the beginning, and never forget that of which where you came from, and building off of that foundation. This is nothing but legacy, people. um, and having systems in place through your spiritual practices like the Cancer, the Venus and Cancer energy, that's having a coming to age process, that has meetings like family reunions once a year that are intentional. What are we talking about at these meetings? Are we just listening to music and partying like this culture is teaching us? Or are we having in-depth conversations as a family? What do we want to do with our wealth? What are we doing with our education that we're passing down? What foundations and things are we leaving for the next generation? We need to get back to that some way, somehow. And I think this Venus and Cancer energy, especially when Venus trines Saturn, we're going to have a lot more conversations like that coming in. If you want to follow somebody who is consistently and every day talking about this, our, in my personal opinion, is Boyce Watkins. I think right now, in my personal opinion, he's the forward future. Everybody else has the history down packed. We're having very important conversations about that. And don't get me wrong, Venus, Cancer rules the past. Past stories need to be passed down. But we've also been doing a lot of talking. We've been doing a lot of talking for a long time. I don't think it's time to be talking right now. I think it's time that we start taking some actions and again, strategically coming together in a way to start building off of our history, getting back to where we need to get to in order to elevate and evolve the Black community. So I think this Venus and Cancer transit is going to be dope. I hope this video enhances your knowledge and understanding of why it's so dope and what's so important about it, and even more so why Pluto and Aquarius is probably one of the most amazing transits that we've had in a really long time. Um, yeah, I mean it's time. It's well overdue. And I do believe by the end of this transit, a lot more of us are going to be awakened and in this higher energy, whether we want to be or not, whether we can see ourselves there or not. Again, trust the process. Know that our spirit guides are working in our favor, and we have a lot more opportunities to grow while America's falling down. This is when you play defense and you get in, or is it offense, right? Where you get in there and start making moves and start seeing this as an opportunity to grow and evolve and not tapping into the fear and the control, the mind control that they are most certainly going to be pulling and are pulling. Um, we've been broke, y'all. You're not really losing anything. You don't have money the way we think that we do, though we do, but we don't know how to manage it enough to leverage it in that way. So how could you feel like you're losing anything? Um, you haven't gained anything. You give all your power away. So now's the time to take offense and take your power back, step up to the plate and build. Yeah, I can go on and on and on about this topic, y'all, but I'm gonna tap out. I love and appreciate y'all as usual. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.